to a Knee workout. This is something that I've been doing for the last probably 4 years in terms of trying to fix my knees. And I wanted to take you through the whole workout today. I'm going to do a voiceover trying something a little bit different. But I started with some incline treadmill backwards walking. This would normally be a sled pull of some sort, but with the tools I have, this is what I could do at the hotel that we were staying at in San Diego. Works really well to warm up. Then I moved on to some calf raises, just body weight. Nothing special or crazy here when it comes to fixing your knees, but I find that I work through a huge stretch. I pause at the bottom of this motion, so I'm not getting the Achilles tendon involved at all. And calves have always been a weak point on my body. But if you're ever trying to do these, I find that if you don't have a specific calf machine, the body weight, just doing one at a time, works fantastic. And then if you only have treadmills around, it gives a really nice place to hold on while you do the movement. So I did 4 sets of 10 on each side with this, and with my body weight, that's plenty, and it starts to get hard by the end of it, but you can always do more. Okay, so the next motion is a squatting motion. I still try and keep the normal lifts in this. Great thing to do, and a reason why I use resistance bands, especially with my knees, is because it takes a lot of the pressure off the bottom of the movement when I'm doing a front squat. When I'm doing this with normal weights, I would attach red bands on the outside of a barbell, so it kind of gets the same effect here. But I started with the purple band. I'm just doing a front squat, trying to stay in the perfect form that I possibly can. And then I increase the weight each set. So I have videos here of me using the green band, which is 1 step up from purple. And I'm doing 10 set reps, sets of 10 here, and increasing until I'm unable to get 10 anymore. Really important to control the movement when you're using the bands to get the most out of it. Next is the blue band, right back in with the front squats. And in the link below, you'll be able to find these bands. This is what I use. We created these for our athletes, and it's something that I'm working out with, just resistance bands in 2024. And I've been maintaining my physique, and actually my joints have been feeling better and better. But here I'm going through the front squats with the blues. And I go up a couple more times. I do have to end up stacking, I believe, the blue and purple band together while really controlling the eccentric motion to get the most out of it when I'm doing the front squats. If you haven't used bands before, I took one of my golf athletes on a trip to Connecticut for a golf show, and we went through a leg workout. He usually uses traditional weights, and he was extremely surprised, as is everybody, on how hard the band workouts were. All right, so next is one of my favorite movements. You see me trying to set up here. I had to get a little bit creative. I couldn't figure out how to attach the band in the right way here, but I found that the machine actually behind it was going to be the best option. So I'm doing a Romanian deadlift here, and I usually do Romanian deadlifts and hip thrusts separate, but I found with the bands I can attach a band to a piece of equipment behind me and then do a Romanian deadlift with a hip thrust. It actually helps me get into a better position and makes it like 10 times harder to do a movement. So when I'm doing this, focusing on the right tension when I'm going through each rep, right? The band that's anchored behind me is actually going to help pull my hips backwards to get a better stretch on my hamstrings. And then on the motion through, it brings glutes and hamstrings into it even more than if you were just doing this with the barbell or anything along those lines. So it's one of my favorite motions. It's something that I will never not do on leg day. I like to stack both of these movements together, just depending on if I have the resources around to be able to do it would be the only reason I wouldn't. Yep, so with each one of these, I move up a band on my hips and then also up a band that I'm using under my legs. So this is the top set. I have the green band around my waist, and I'm using the blue band to do the deadlift with. And same rep range as I was doing before, somewhere between 10 to 15 reps depending on the weight. But I want to save as much of my energy for the last set. So this set ended up being 10 reps pretty much to failure there. Now we get into some of the knee-hab stuff and what we're doing. And we're focusing on getting our legs stronger in knee over toe motions. This is the stuff that I neglected for years and years when I was training normally. So I set up here with a few plates on top of each other, so I have a full range of motion. And then I put a dumbbell down, just like a 2.5 pound dumbbell down, so I would elevate my heel. And what I'm doing is I'm making sure to control on the way down, just tap my heel and then move up through that motion. I'm doing 10 to 15 reps on each side here. We're just starting with the red band, and I'm going to move up weight for every single set. I believe I get all the way up to purple, but we'll have a couple angles here so you can kind of see that motion. The first set's always the roughest, but then it gets easier with the more weight in terms of stability. But that's one thing I love about the bands, is it's still helping me move through all of this. Here's a look at the setup. It's 2 regular plates, 2 35-pound weights, and the smallest dumbbell that I could find. This is the black band. I do end up putting the bands under the plate so that it's kind of like anchored there. And then I just bring it up around my neck. And if you need to use support, you can use support. You can see me kind of using the doorway for support to help guide me through the movement. I'm not helping myself in any way other than stabilizing. So I only have like a couple of fingers there. Yep, and I'm just making sure here to stay as safe as possible with my back, not getting in other positions or unsafe positions when I'm transferring over, because the band does pick up the plate if I take my weight off of it. There we go, and there's the dismount. And I wanted to show one side view. I'm going to kind of keep it as raw as possible here so you can see the entire setup. But this is the purple band and the same motion. But you can see how far out my knee is going over my toes and how little pressure I'm putting on my heel. I'm just making sure I'm going through the full range of motion and getting everything out of it. And this is something where I started with body weight. When I first started doing these, I was using a barbell. I'm only using a band right now because I'm only doing bands for the entire year and I had to adapt. But I found that it actually is helping me load more on the top of the motion and have a little bit less weight at the bottom of the motion. So my knees are feeling better through this and they're still getting built up. At home, I use a stair for this. I have like a floating staircase so I can wrap a band all the way around those stairs. And it's about the right height. But when I'm at a gym, at a hotel or traveling, it seems to be the best for me if I go ahead and stack some plates on top of each other or get creative that way. That's the fun thing about bands, is it's pretty infinite in the amount of things that you can do with them. All right, so here's the next motion. It is the ATG split squat. So this is a split squat where I'm focusing on coming all the way forward, covering my hamstring with my calf. It's staying stable that way. I don't want to use any thing to stabilize myself, but when I started, I did set up next to a wall or something so I could help myself out of that position where it would hurt my knee the most. But moving through this entire range of motion is working on my flexibility, my knee strength, and everything along those lines, even ankle flexibility. And the goal here is to move as controlled as you possibly can, pushing through the middle of your foot, even though it's not connected to the ground, and you can feel like that. I've also found with this leg routine, right, my knees don't hurt afterwards like they used to when I was trying to build big legs, but I also have gotten so much more definition in my legs because I'm able to move in positions that I guess the muscle never was really activated before. So I'm moving through this. I'm doing like 8 to 10 reps, whatever is comfortable for me. I'm listening to my body and feeling it, and that's really important as well. I'm doing as much as I possibly can to just listen to my body and make sure that I'm not pushing myself too far. But by this point, my legs were getting pretty spent, which is very nice. And I supersetted this with tib raises. So one thing that is weak on most people, right? We work our calves, but we never work the front of our legs, like our shins. This can cause a lot of shin splints and things like that. But I always superset one of my leg motions with tib raises, and I'll do 10. It's still hard for me to do body weight, but I plan on moving up to like a tib bar or something like that at some point to make them stronger. And then I finished up with walking lunges. I do 10 minutes of walking lunges, or 5 to 10 minutes a day of walking lunges. And this is something that not only I attribute to my leg size, because I'm not able to do as much volume as I was when I was just training through the pain or training hurt. If you haven't heard the Greg Beast podcast yet, it's a huge thing that we talk about, where you're just used to it, so you just think that it's part of life, or it doesn't have to be. Now with the lunges, now my legs are getting so strong and stable, and with this entire workout I'm able to get as much blood into it as possible. And I realized I left out a workout at the end of this one, so I finished off with leg curls. I took a red band halfway through and looped it around both of my ankles and went through 4 sets of leg curls. But that's the entire leg workout. This is something that I will do on a weekly basis. And then I'll do the lunges and the backward sled pulls on a daily basis if I'm really trying to make sure that I get as much blood flow as possible to my knees. Just finished up that leg day. It's exactly what I do to fix my knees. And I did a voiceover, so listen to that. Morgan just showed up from work, so I'm gonna actually just train her right now. The gym here is actually pretty awesome. There's like squat racks and all this stuff that I can't use, and a bunch of dumbbells inside and machines and all that kind of stuff. So we're gonna go through a quick workout for her, and then I have to go back to the room and finish programming for everybody, because just about all of my clients have 4 weeks. Their first 4 weeks are up and their next 4 weeks are going. And since I build everybody's program special, it means that I'm gonna be up late doing that.